Hey, so welcome back to the Hey UK podcast. So this week on the podcast, I'm chatting to Owen. Owen is a content creator, and I've been like a massive fan of his content for ages. Honestly, man, I like from seeing your content from the start. I really genuinely rate your messages, the process. You're talking about the hard days, how you get through it. So I want to start us off by asking you like how you're doing, like how you are today.
Well, firstly, thank you. Big ups to you. Like, I'm loving what you're doing as well. I'm seeing it every day, and the messages you're putting out there, like, pretty much the same wavelength as me. Like, we're trying to push people on and just positive energy and everything that's connected to that. But yeah, recently, this past like I'd say the past like week and a half or so. So I've been doing the gym page and the motivating stuff for about, I'd say, I'm going into my third month or so doing it. And I can't lie, the past week and a half, I've been exhausted, man. Exhausted. Like, literally just like waking up feeling sluggish and go, not going back to old ways, but like thinking about, oh, it'd be so much easier if I just like took the easy route and stuff like that. But yeah, I've been pushing on still. I've been still going to the gym, like eating well, and like I've still been putting content out there. It's a little bit less this week as I've kind of taken time for myself to like get me back on the track and like I've got a holiday coming up next week, which is going to be a nice like little getaway relaxation for me. And I feel like once I'm back from that, it will be able to put me back into the right mindset.
So many things I've been seeing that people only post the highlights and they won't post the hard days. They won't talk about the lack of motivation. One of the things which genuinely really stood out for me with your content, is how you were so kind of like, if you're having a bad day, you'll post about it, you'll talk about it, and I rate that.
If you think about it, like this is like a marathon. You know what I mean? So like we've got such a long distance, and obviously you're still giving that 100%. But apart from the start and the end, like they're the times where you really exert yourself and give it your all. Like in the middle, if you're still just ticking those boxes, like keeping along, like keeping going, that's how you like change from the beginning of your journey to the end. Like it's them small steps in between that really count.
Even speaking to you now, like I love the mentality and the mindset you have. How did it start for you? How did you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I want to create a fitness page, I want to change my life around, I want to get into the gym, I want to get on top of everything. How did that start? How did that begin?
Well, it was actually like I'd say start of this year, it all kind of clicked for me a little bit. About March time, I went through some troubles. I used to be a big smoker. I used to hang around with the wrong group of friends, and I would get involved in bad stuff and like anything from like police and etc. etc. Like the scale of going to a courtroom and stuff like that. And it's just like moments like that. Like if it doesn't click, then like it's never gonna click. Like I was in there and I was just like seeing like my parents. Like I could tell they were just not like they weren't like I don't know like they. It wasn't like they were ashamed of me, but they were like they weren't like ashamed of me to the point they were like get out of our life and stuff. Like obviously they're my parents. They want to care for me and nurture me, but they were ashamed of me in that moment of time. And I feel like that's had the biggest impact on what switched my life around. Because from that moment on, I used to go to the gym probably like a couple of times a week if I felt like it, and I just do it, maybe pass some time and stuff like that. But since then, I've changed my friend group around. I've started hanging with a much closer bonded group of people, and from I'd say about from March April time, we started to get in a good run of just let's go to the gym today, let's do this, let's get in a good routine, and then whilst I was at the gym, I actually met a good friend of mine, Riyadh, who also has a fitness page, and he's smashing it at the moment, loving his stuff. And yeah, he literally every session he was like, make a fitness page, make a fitness page, make a fitness page. And by the third week, I was like, all right, I'll see what it's doing for me. And I had this brand of I wanted to help others as well. I didn't want to just like come up and say like, oh, I'm doing this, like try and be the man or think that I am something I'm not, because in reality we all have struggles, we all have problems, and it's natural. Like we all have low times, we all have good times, but it's just how you ride them out. That's how you can get onto the next either positive or get out of the next negative. You know what I mean? So yeah, I set up the page around I think it was 28th of April. I want to say I set the page up. So it's been going. What's that? April, June, July, April, May, June, July. So that's I'm coming into my third month, nearly to the day now. And yeah, I've literally not looked back since. I've had a few wobbles here and there, but smoking wise, I completely cut that out. for the first 2 months, and I'll obviously be open and honest. Like when we went camping, I had a little smoke and stuff like that. Like it's good. It's good. It's obviously not good, but it's good to be able to enjoy things you enjoy and relax when you're with mates and you're like in a comfortable situation to do so, as long as you have the balance still. And things like that have to be balanced out, like kind of like an imbalance. Like as long as you're doing 5 to 6 of all the good stuff every week, you might have that one day a week, or that one just like moment a week where you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna just chill. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna have a meal I want. I'm gonna get a pizza. Like it's your body. Like you gotta respect yourself. Like it doesn't matter. Like people are gonna tell you if you don't eat well every day, you're not gonna achieve things. But in reality, if you're eating well 80 to 90% of the time, like that 10% is just beneficiary to yourself really, and like helps your mental health as well because you're not pushing away the things you enjoy. You're still including them, maybe at a lesser rate, but your positivity is still staying up. And yeah, that's what kind of just switched it around for me. Like just seeing like my mates in the same position as well. And since then, like I can't lie, like my friend like Saeed, we've grown like we're literally like gym bros now. We go every day continuously. And my other gym bro went to the army about a month and a half or so ago. And yeah, I'm going on holiday with him next week, so that'll be good to catch up. But yeah, and it's just been grinding. He had the grinding because obviously going to the army, you got to be super fit, super like on it and stuff like that. And he was just going for it, and he's kind of what helped me keep to that level of like I need to keep up with him because I ain't trying to fall behind and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say finding a good group like that are on the same track as you, and just finding the first couple steps, change one thing for the positive outlook, and then you'll see, oh, like that's actually done like big things for me, just one thing, and then you'll think next week I might change another thing, and I might have a cold shower on Friday, or I might wake up earlier on the weekends and go for a run, or it's anything small, even from like having a high protein breakfast compared to Nutella on toast or something. Like it's just little things like that that lead up to the one big thing, and it's not going to come quickly, but it will come much quicker when you start just doing more and more slowly but surely. It'll come a lot quicker than just putting it off and trying to say, you know what, I'm going to go to the gym 6 times this week. I'm going to get up early every day. I'm going to cold shower every day. I'm going to, because then you're just bombarding yourself. And then your mind's like, oh, but I haven't done one of those things today. So then, you start thinking negatively. And then the next day you do none of those things. And then it's like back to the same ways again. And like, yeah, I've just like really helped. Like I've really enjoyed like trying to help other people and stuff like that.
Going back to the beginning of what you were saying with like that point where you hit where you realized that you needed to make a turn. I think like that shows strength that you've stuck to it. And also when you were saying about the 3 month thing, I think there's like loads of people, and I see this in New Year's traditions. Those are people who say, yeah, you know what, I'll do this. They set themselves these massive goals, and you talked about it there a little bit. But people get to say the 1 month point, or whenever they reach the hurdle, which is hard, they stop. But I think it's when you have people who know how good you can be, who will openly say like, you know what, man, you can do better. Sometimes that's what you need to become the best version of yourself, and having those people around you can make the full difference.
Yeah, they do, man. Like if you surround yourself with the right people, then it's hard to fail. Like obviously, there's going to be times where it's hard. Like when I'm posting stuff, I'm thinking, what should I post today? What should I do? Like it's hard, but then I have people message me and they're like, bro, just why don't you do this or try this or think look at this. Like they show me stuff and it just like it's really encouraging because people are there for you and you don't really realize it, but there is people that do genuinely like care for you, and like even if you're not thinking about it, they might be thinking, oh, how is he getting on, how is he doing, and they're the people that you want to make proud, and they're the people that you need to make proud really. So if they're honest enough, if they're good group to be around, they'll be honest enough to tell you when you're doing something wrong, and they'll be honest enough to tell you when you've achieved like greatness. Like they won't be the ones that are jealous of you. They won't be the ones that are envious or anything like that. They'll be the ones that are there first in line to fucking applaud you or just cheer you on and be there for you. And that's what you want. You don't want people that are going to be jealous of you, because in in stuff like that, you want to come up together with your friends and stuff.
I think one of the things I like with some of my friendships I've had in my life, like I because of gym, because of like range of different self help things, I've always looked for solutions of things. So like there's been times where I've messed up before where like a mate's come to me and they're in a hard situation. I'm like, oh, let's find a solution to this. And I think one of the biggest things I've learned really recently is like sometimes when you're there for a mate, you don't even have to say anything. It's just them knowing that you're there for them, and like the metaphor of like you willing to sit in the dirt with them if they're going for a hard patch and they feel like they're down on the ground. And I think like what you said there about having those mates who like even if you know if everything goes bad and it's you're going for a negative patch, those people who will happily go like they're not gonna just bombard you with solutions. They're gonna like sit down with you in the dirt and they're just gonna sit there with you until you're at a point where you're ready to find a solution and pick yourself back up. And then they'll be there with you and they'll take the time until you're ready to stand back up and they're like, all right, let's do this together.
100%. The people that are willing to sit with you in your lowest, they're the people you want to take with you to your highest. 100%. You don't want to lose someone like that, because that's such a core value. There's so many, like, I don't want to say fake, but like just so many missed personas of people that will like be there for you, and all they'll do is just send a message or ask when they kind of need something, or they'll just be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Haven't messaged you in a while." Do that. You have a little chat for about 5 minutes, and then they're asking you things. They're like, "Oh, do you do this now? Could you do this for me? Or could you do?" They're like straight into actually what they wanted to know. They don't really care about the first 5 minutes, how you were or what you were doing. But I would say I spend more time talking about how I'm doing and where I am mentally, and um, like um professionally, like profession wise, and building my career and stuff like that. I spend a lot of time with my mates talking about stuff like that. Like, and I feel like that's a really good thing to have, because if you've got people that are willing to talk about futures and businesses and planning and money management, that's a big thing at our age, I believe. And yeah, like just by having people like that, that's a good group to have around you. And I'm not saying when you go out with your mates, you need to just be talking about breaking out the matrix or making money as soon as possible and stuff like that. But like, it is a good aspect to have, because your future is what you're building every day. Um, so if you're not at least thinking somewhat of it, don't live in the future. But like, if you're not thinking about it, then you should probably start to just have a little few thoughts about it, have a little few chats with your friends, see what they're thinking about the future. See if you're interested in them and you want to actually like be a good bond, be interested, like ask what they're doing, how their day was. Simple questions like that have just gone out the window, I believe. Like in present time, like the other day when I was just on a walk, like I heard like a couple they were like a bit younger, just come on, I think from like a walk from school or something, and they had just left. One of them went in inside, and they were like, "See you later, have a good day," like and stuff like that. And just hearing that, I was like, that you know, it made me smile, because you don't get a lot of people like that. That's genuine, just positivity in its finest and truest form. So easy to just. And that kid probably just walked away thinking, "Oh, like yeah, I will have a good day," like smiling, and just good positive energy around him. And it's literally as simple as that. But people just find it's too easy to choose the negative option, I believe.
So what I want to do right now is I want to hit you with a hypothetical situation, and it's kind of linked to what we were talking about with the future. So we're going to move you to a year in the future, and I want to ask you where do you want to be a year from now, and what like we said, like doing things in like not living in the future, but doing things in the present so you can build that future. All right, where do you want to be in a year's time? Fill me in, and what are you doing right now so you can get to that point?
This like weekend with my dad, we're going through my CV. We're going to check over it, get it up to date, fill it out, make sure it's proper, like up to scratch. And I'm just going to start sending out some applications to new jobs. I feel like at this moment in time, I'm not entirely um, like 100% on construction and stuff like that. I feel like it was an easy route for me when I was younger and around those bad groups. and I feel like I am someone who's much more poised. I could be in I could do well in like an office position, although I've never tried it, and I've always been like, nah, that's not for me. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. And I feel like I'm at an age where 20, 21, 22, 23. Why would I not try it? Like, why would I stop myself from trying something just because I think, rather than knowing I'm actually pretty good at that. I might enjoy it. I might kick on and stuff like that. So that's one thing. Another thing at the moment is gym. I'm loving that at the moment. That's my main like just source of like peace and happiness and positivity for me. Right now, I feel like in a year's time, I want to still be hitting it just as hard as I am now. But I want to be. My main thing at the moment is bulking. So this week I've taken a bit of a lean week. I've because of holiday and all that stuff. So I've cut down on the calories a little bit, and I've kept my protein intake high for this week to try and keep the muscle, lose a bit of fat, not going anything over the top because I know like nothing significant will change in the space of a week. But I just wanted to get like the bloating and stuff like that away. So yeah, but my main focus for the next year is bulking, and I'm kind of like strength training. I'm doing stuff like I've tried a new split called the Arnold split, which is basically chest back Monday, delts and arms on Tuesdays, and then legs on Wednesdays, and then you repeat that to Saturday, and you have a rest day on Sunday, and it's really good. I'm really enjoying it, loving it. I feel like it's really engaging more muscles each time I do it, and I feel like that's what's going to help me to reach my goal of. At the moment, I'm trying to bulk to 90 kilos. I started at 80, and I'm about 84 at the moment. So I'm trying to get to that 90, but I'm not convinced yet if I'm gonna cut or if I'm gonna just keep pushing it on, because I feel like I'll see when I get to around April time, and that'll be where I make my decision. Do I want to cut? Because although the gym's good and bulking, cutting, whatever, everything has its cons. Like when I'm bulking, I look and I obviously feel stronger and I feel healthy and I feel good. But then you see stuff like, oh, extra body fat. Oh, I've got a bit of a double chin here. And when I sit down, oh, but like if you think past that, like what I do is I think it's all going to be worth it in my head. And in that 1 year, I will lose that body fat, but I'll keep the muscle that's underneath that I'm building. And that's the main thing. You've got to actually think of what each aspect is doing, and like not just think about all like the little side effects, we'll say, but like it's a positive thing. I feel like everything's gonna have a little blip to it. Everything's gonna have a negative attachment in some sort of light, but as a whole, it's a really positive thing, and that's why I try to just keep my head up and just keep pushing and pushing, because I know one day like I'm gonna look back and think, why was I even worrying?
One of the things you literally just mentioned it, but it's about kind of looking at your long term goals and kind of because it's easy. Like I feel like some people where you talk about kind of like people would rather have the instant dopamine hit of having those instant gratifications. And I think one of the things you're doing really well is kind of holding out because you know that if you put in the work long term, you'll get that. And also, you also talks about this. You have this real mindset of this idea of you can be better than you are right now. You can improve. You can become a better version of yourself. And I think that's what you're showing right now. That's what you're showing in your content. And you're working through these limiting beliefs. So I wanted to ask you, we're going to create a different version of you. We're going to create the version of you who has this really limiting mindset that he can't achieve the things he can. And he's also really focused on the kind of instant gratification. He's not holding out to reach the points he want to get. What would you say to that version of you? And what would your advice be for him to kind of like become the version of you that you're becoming?
What I'd say to him is 1% every day, just 1%. That's it. That is the key. That's what's really helped me, to be honest. 1% every day. When you're in a closed mindset or in that space where you feel like you can't progress or you want to just have it quick, you never actually make any progress really, because you'll do it for, I don't know, let's say a week, a couple of weeks, and then you're like, well, why haven't I gained muscle, or why haven't I lost fat, or why haven't I got a promotion, or anything? It could literally be any part of life, but if you spent those 2 weeks 1% every day, over those 2 weeks, what have I improved on? What are the things I've improved on every day? And then you look at the next 2 weeks. What am I going to spend my next 2 weeks? Just 1%. What am I going to improve on? And it may be, I don't know, getting up earlier just to have a good nutritional breakfast. It could be having a meal before your workout. It could be just going for a workout. It could literally be just applying to a new job or just asking out that girl you've always wanted to ask out. Just don't be scared to try new things, and don't be worried if it comes back at you and you fail or you get rejected or things like that, because that is natural. That's always going to happen in any part of life. Like, you're going to get rejected, you're going to fail, you're going to lose. You're not always going to be a winner, but if you keep pushing on, that's what will separate you from the losing. If you are able to lose and keep striving and take it in your path and say, I'm not done here, I'm keeping going, 1%, 1%, 1%. By a year goes past, you spend 365 days getting 1% better.
So you said some really solid things on this, and on the podcast, I always do this extract at the end where I ask someone their tip of the week. So I'm really interested if you could leave the people listening with one tip, one kind of thing they can put in kind of place this week. What would it be, and what would be your tip of the week?
Try to think, don't be bitter of your situation, and try to think, how can I get better? Just by the change of one letter in that word, instead of being bitter, be better, because that's all it takes. If you can look at someone and not be envious, jealous, bitter of their situation, of their positive situation, then you can turn it and think, how can I do this? What can I do to make my life go into that trajectory? So instead of just thinking, I how has he done that? Like, why has he got that and I haven't? Don't be bitter. Just be better, because that's all it takes. Just just one day at a time. Be better. Do things more positively. Try look at things with a more positive aspect. And that's what another tip I'd say. Just try and be more positive. Like, if you mess up, you fail, don't just screw yourself over. Don't go so hard on yourself, because everyone does it. It's natural. You're gonna have highs and lows, and it's more just how to deal with each high and each low. Never get too high and never get too low, because when you're too low, you're down in the dumps and you're kicking yourself and you're not listening to anything. You think you can't make it out of there, but when you're too high, your head just blows up. You think, "Oh, I'm invincible. I'm the man." And then something happens where you're not invincible, and then you go straight back down. And that's why it's so good to manage highs and lows, and just aim for that positive aspect of each day and try and get better each day. Because nothing good will come from being bitter, except from hatred, negativity, and just like, yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. To be fair.
Yeah, I love that. And it's building off of this, like there's this quote I love and it's like if you win, celebrate for a day, and if you lose, cry for a day, but only do them both for a day and then keep going. Don't think just because you won one day you're gonna win every day, and don't think just because you cried on one day you're gonna cry every single day. Feel what you're feeling for the day, run through those emotions, feel them to their fullest degree, and then the next day is a new day, start again. You gotta go back to square one, you gotta start again, you gotta focus, what do I need to do? What do I need to keep doing to keep focused and keep going where I want to go? So, man, how can people find you? What's your information? Because I want people to come to you and like check your page out because it's so worthwhile doing.
So my motivational page is Stock Living, STOCC Living, and then I've got a main page which is Stock Life. So it's kind of like Stock Life is my Instagram. I post my photos, I take selfies, whatever. But Stock Living, that's how I live. Like, compared to my life as a Instagram page, like where it's my best moments and I'm posting with my friends, I'm always happy. Stock Living is how I live, how I get by day to day. And I posted on there today. I was feeling exhausted and tired, and I'm taking a week out for me. But I'm also going to be posting later that I'm doing my leg day and stuff still, because that's that's just a part of me now. Like, pushing through, and yeah. So if you want to see what I get up to on a day to day, then Stock Living is the place for you. And if you want to just get motivated and try some new things out. Definitely worth a try. Don't have to stick around, but definitely check it out, I'd say.
Genuinely, I think you have the mentality for success. I think you have such a good head on you.
I love speaking to you. You're a very good guy. Positive head on your shoulders, and I know we're working to the same thing.
So thank you guys for listening. I'm sending so much love and so much light. And this is James, and this is Hey, you okay?